Hi, this is Chantel and I'm back with part two of the book that I'm reading. If you haven't seen part one, click on my lips to go to the part one, and I'm going to continue now. Swallowing my annoyance, I force a smile. Yeah, afraid so. I nod, rolling my eyes in a phew. I'm exhausted from all this crazy partying kind of way. Honestly, I should be an Academy Award-winning actress, not the manager of a quirky little bookstore in Soho. In truth, I've been to one party. It was at the Society, and I had a cold. Spent the whole evening popping Sufisted and discussing my frostbite, and I was in bed by 9:30. The excitement nearly killed me. But it was nice meeting you, I added warmly. You too. John appears visibly relaxed, and I feel warm. Vicious glow enveloped me. See? Look what a difference of a few kind words can have. Now I feel really good about myself. Saint Emily, it's got quite a ring to it. Buoyed up by my success, I continue, and the plugs are amazing. Plugs? John looks at me blankly. Shit, did I really just say that? I mean, pizza. The pizza was amazing, I fluster. Blushing beetroot, I'm trying not to look at his hairline, which of course my eyes are now drawn to, with some kind of magnetic force. Ah, look away, Emily, look away. There's an excruciating pause. We both try to pretend that we're not aware of it. By me picking my cuticles, him patting his head, checking his reflection in the restaurant window when he thinks I'm not looking. Guilt overwhelms me. Now I feel like a really bad person. Maybe I should apologize. Maybe I should. In one seamless move, John makes a final drag of his cigarette, grinds it out under his foot, and lunges for me. Oh God, this isn't happening. This can't be happening. It's happening. For a split second I freeze. Everything seems to go in slow motion. I watch him looming towards me, eyes closed, mouth open, tongue sticking out, and I realize he's misinterpreted kindness for a come on. Fortunately, or should that be, unfortunately, I have been on enough bad dates in the last year to keep my reflexes sharp, and at the last moment I come to and manage to swerve just in time. His lips crash lang on the side of my face. He plants a sloppy kiss on my ear. Ugh! I pull away sharply. Even so, it's a bit of a struggle as he has his hand wrapped around my waist like a vice. We sprang apart and faced each other on the sidewalk. Well, in that case, I think I'll grab a cab home, he says curtly, stuffing his hands into his pockets of his pleated pants. Yeah, me too, I reply shakily, wiping the spit-soaked hair with my sleeve. Silence. We both stand on the curbside trying to hail a cab. Finally, after a painful few minutes, I see a familiar sight of a yellow cab with its light on. It pulls up, and I heave a sigh of relief, and I reach for the door handle, but John beats me to it. I'm pleasantly surprised. At last! A bit of chivalry. Heartened, I softened and threw him my first real smile of the evening. He tugs open the door. Perhaps I've misjudged him. Perhaps he's not so bad after all. Without hesitation, he jumps inside and slams the door. Well, thanks for the great evening, he says, sticking his head out of the window. Happy holidays. Hey, I yell, suddenly finding my voice. Hey, you've stolen my... But the cab takes off down the street with screeching of the tires, abandoned on the slushy sidewalk. I watch the tail lights disappear into the traffic, and despite my anger, I suddenly feel myself crumple inside. Unexpectedly, my eyes prick with tears, and I blink them back at them furiously. Honestly, what's got into me? I'm being ridiculous. The man is a total moron. I'm not upset. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. And stiff, sniffling determinedly, I stuff my hands into my pockets and head off in the direction of the subway. You should have called the cops. It's the next morning and I'm at work at Mackenzie's, a small family-owned bookstore. Where I'm the manager, I look up at Stella, my assistant, who's standing on the step ladder, stacking books. Why? For stealing the first cab, smiling. I passed some more titles to her. Please, officer, my date stole the first cab. He is not a gentleman. Arrest him. Not for that, she retorts, putting one hand on her hip, putting a horrified expression. For wearing pleated pants. Stella and I met when she came for interview and bowled me over with an extensive knowledge of her literature. At least that's what I'd been expected after reading her impressive CV. However, 5 minutes into the interview, it became apparent that works of fiction weren't just limited to books themselves. Having just graduated from fashion college, Stella didn't have the first clue about books, thought a thesaurus was a dinosaur, and finally confessed that the only thing she'd ever read was her horoscope. Well, at least she was honest, and honesty was very important. I pointed out to her Mr. Mackenzie, the owner, as a justification for her hiring. To tell her the truth, it'd been a case of a lesser several evils. With her bubblegum pink hair and a bizarre asymmetrical outfit that, to a fashion flunky like me, looked frighteningly fashionable. Stella had seemed like she'd be a lot more interesting to work with than some of the other applicants, such as Belinda, a self-confessed internet geek who spent every evening on her sofa updating her blog on MySpace, or Patrick, who was nearly 40, still lived at home with his parents, and adored modern jazz. Exactly, like I had a choice. 3 years and an entire rainbow of hair colors later, we're best of friends. Although, professional speaking, I'm her boss, most of the time it doesn't feel like that. Probably because when I give her orders, Stella ignores them. But seriously, Emily, you should have punched this you should have punched this John guy's lights out, she continues, vigorously shoving a fistful of books on the shelf. If he'd stolen my cab, I would have killed him. I don't doubt it, I know. Behind all those wacky outfits and perfect accessories lies the fierceness of a Rottweiler. In fact, Stella nearly once killed an ex-boyfriend by squirting pepper spray at him during an argument over who would win Survivor. It triggered an asthma attack and he had to spend the night in the emergency room. So what are you going to do now? Delete his numbers? I shrug, ripping the tape off of a fresh cardboard box from the top of the step ladder. Stella throws me a sympathetic look. Oh fuck, I'm sorry, Em, that sucks. Hey, I'm over it, I say. I'm doing my best to sound casual. Don't worry, I'm not upset over last night. I'm more resigned. I'm trying to put on a brave face of Viggs, but to tell the truth, last night really got to me. It wasn't John that upset me. He was the last straw that broke the camel's back, or to put it another way, the date broke me because I've decided no more disappointment, dashed hopes, disastrous dates. I'm done. You know, I've got a friend who's got a really hot brother that's just broken up with his girlfriend. Thanks, but no thanks. I shake my head determinedly. But he's great, Stella persists. If he's great, then why did they break up? With the palm of her hand. Ah, I can't breathe. Stella rubs her nose, concentration. Stella rubs her nose in concentration, the clunky wooden bracelets clanking loudly. According to Stella, ethnic is the new boho. I'm not exactly sure. I think it might have something to do with what he's drinking. I shut her in. Look, you're trying to fix me up with an alcoholic, I gasp. Was, she retorts. He's an AA. Well, then he's not allowed to date anyway, I say firmly. It's part of the 12 steps or something. Stella looks suitably catastasized, chewing her purple nail polish from her fingers. She waits mutedly at the top of the ladder as I resume unpacking the paperbacks, peeling off the plastic wrap and piling them up on the floor. It's entirely early, but the shop's empty. For a few moments we work together without speaking until the silence is interrupted by the tinkle of the doorbell. I glance over and see a customer entering. A woman wrapped up in furs. She catches my eyes and smiles before heading to the biography section. Why aren't men today like in the books? Why aren't men today like in the men in the books? I continue, unpacking a pile of classics. Seriously, Stella, I've had enough of your modern day love, I say firmly, and I'm sick of the modern day men. From now on, I'm going to stick to men in here. I pause over a copy of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, fingering the cover affectionately. Just imagine being in a world where men didn't steal your cab, cheat on you, or have an addiction to internet porn, but were chivalrous, devoted, and honourable, and strode across the field in breeches and white shirts clinging to their chests. Yum. Absently flicking over the novel, I plunged straight into a sexually charged scene between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. God, I love this bit. I lean against the bookshelf and continue reading. I mean, why can't I go on a date with Mr. Darcy? I sigh wistfully, pressing the book open to my chest. I gaze off. Oh, it hasn't stopped. I thought it stopped. Sorry about that. Where am I? I've lost my thing. I've actually lost where I am. I gaze off into the middle distance. Oh, is he the cute guy who works at the Mac store? Pipes up from the Stella. I look up at her. Suddenly I didn't hear her right, because I can try and get his number for you. Stella, I cry belief. I knew her grasp of literature was slim, but this was unbelievable. Surely she's seen the movie, at least. Are you telling me you don't know who Mr. Darcy is? She looks at me warily. He's not the guy who works at the Mac store, she asks tentatively. No, I gasp impatiently. He's the sexiest, most romantic man you can ever imagine. Not only is he respectful and knows how to treat a woman, but he's this dark, brooding hero who's incredibly dashing, has all this repression of passion that's just waiting to be unleashed. Geez, he sounds like a female wet dream, she giggles. I throw her a sobering look. So where do we find this Mr. Darcy? She asks in a subdued voice. I wouldn't mind meeting him myself. Picking up her copy of Pride and Prejudice, I wiggle it at her like a prosecution lawyer with a piece of evidence. Puzzled, Stella narrows her eyes and peers at me for a moment, trying to work it out. Then it suddenly registers. A book? She gasps in disbelief. This amazing man you're raving about is a character in a book. For a moment she glares at me, wide-eyed, then stops down the ladder and snatches the paper book from my hand. I'll tell you why you can't go to date with Mr. Friggin' Darcy, she scolds, because it's fiction. She climbs back up the ladder and holds the novel out of my reach. He's not real, honestly, Emily. Sometimes you can be such an hopeless romantic. She says it with such pity, as if I'm suffering from a terminal illness. What's wrong with being hopeless romantic? I demand defensively. Nothing, she shrugs, sloping herself down at the top of the step-ladder and hugging her bony knees to her chest. But I'm afraid you're going to have to face the facts. You need to live in the real world. This is New York in the noughties, not the pages of... Oh, hi. Not the pages of... Break it off, she glances at the blurb at the back of the book. A 19th century novel set in English countryside. Then Stella descends the ladder, grabs the rest of the pile of Pride and Prejudice, and stubs it on the shelf behind her. Repeat after me. M. Mr. Darcy does not exist. And that is the end of the first chapter. So I hope it was okay. I'm sorry that my nose was blocked. I don't think it sounded that good because my nose is kind of blocked. It's got a cold. And I had to stop because my laptop actually switched off, so I thought it stopped filming. But, bye. So that was the end of it.